Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. MC Mura here, and today we're gonna talk about the Year 1 DLC characters for Street Fighter 6, my hope and speculations regarding these characters, as well as the hope for future DLCs. Obviously, Capcom reveals that we are getting Aki, Rasheed, Ed, and Akuma during the Street Fighter 6 showcase. They teased us with these characters along with a general roadmap on when we can expect them to come out, right? Now, we knew about these characters ever since the roster leak, right? Because in the roster leak, we have seen the designs for them, and a lot of people, including me, assumed that these characters were part of the launch roster, but it turns out they are gonna be DLC. Now, as we started getting more characters revealed for the game, and Capcom have revealed that Street Fighter 6 are gonna launch with 18 characters, we knew pretty much that Ed, Akuma, Rasheed and Aki were gonna be DLC, but the question was always, well, is there more? Because during all of the leaks and people just spreading rumors out there was always the assumption that there are gonna be like 6 characters for the first year, but no, it's just 4. The 4 of them, the 4 that we have known about for a long time, which I'm gonna be completely honest, regardless of who the 4 are, this is a little bit disappointing because we wanted to see new design, but alas, that's not gonna happen. We are sticking with Ed, Rasheed, Aki, and Akuma. Now let's briefly talk about the 4 of them individually. I'm gonna start with Rasheed first, since he's the character we're gonna get first. And as a first addition, I feel like he's a weird character to be the first one to be added. Rasheed sure was a character that I think was generally liked. Obviously, a lot of people didn't like that he was always overpowered during Street Fighter V's life cycle, but I don't know if he's like popular enough or was demanded enough to be the first character to come back. I think he have a lot of interesting mechanics. I can see him adding a lot to Street Fighter 6, and there isn't really a character in the initial roster that plays like him, so that could be good. In one of the developer commentary interviews, they said that initially in Street Fighter V, Rasheed had way more options out of his run, but they weren't really able to implement them well into Street Fighter V, so I think they are gonna try to do that in Street Fighter 6. There were obviously also rumors that Rasheed was supposed to be added to Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and all of this is telling me that this is a character that Capcom wants to push, right? Capcom wants Rasheed to be popular, and that's why they're adding him, and hey, I mean, it's fine. It's not like the best pick for the first DLC character, but I think he will do just fine. But if I had to choose, I would have picked someone that people really wanted, and people wanted to have them back, kinda like what they did with Alex in Street Fighter V. A lot of people wanted Alex, and they gave them Alex as a first DLC. I thought that was clever. With Rasheed, I don't know if there is really any demand for this character, but hey, it is what it is. And next up we got Aki, and the rumors are that Aki is female Fang, like she is the student or Fang or his disciple, something like this. And this does seem like the latest attempt for Capcom to turn a specific unpopular character playstyle into being popular by turning the character into a female. We have already seen this with Kimberly. She does Bushinryu. I know that people like I know you guys like Zeku, like don't jump in on me, but we know that Capcom have said they want Kimberly to be the new generation Chun-Li. They're designing Luke, Jamie, and Kimberly to be the Ryu, Ken, and Chun. She's very heavily featured in a lot of the game's marketing. So yes, Capcom is aiming for Kim to be very popular, and she does Bushinryu, right? And we got Lily, who is cute T-Hawk. The similarities are there, and this seems like another case of, hey, let's have another try at the Fang general playstyle with poison and everything. Well, what do? Fang is already done, people didn't like him that much. Well, let's go for the female route. Maybe that will work, and I'm sure Aki, regardless of what happens, will be much more popular than Fang was. Although personally, I do think Fang was a very good character overall. Like his design overall, I think was very solid. I am interested to see what Capcom changes with Aki. How will the poison mechanic work during Street Fighter 6? I think it actually is pretty fascinating and could lead to a lot of interesting gameplay design ideas. Maybe Aki could poison you, and her poison could, reduce your drive gauge instead of the health bar. I think there's a lot of ideas, creative gameplay ideas that could be done with her. Next up we got Ed Boy, and oh man, I know you guys know my feelings on Ed. It's been very well documented that I don't like this character. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't think a lot of people do, but something you have to keep in mind that Ed was actually the most used newcomer in Street Fighter V. he was the most popular newcomer overall, right? Which is actually very interesting. And Ed is a character who have a story relevance. I will say, even though I didn't like what they did with him in Street Fighter V, Ed as a character, his concept is actually very good, and I like that Ed is back for redemption. We're getting an Ed that is much older than he was during Street Fighter V. He is probably like a mature young man right now instead of being an annoying little brat, so I am interested in seeing that. How will Capcom balance him this time around? Will he still retain the easy motions, but how will that work with the modern control scheme, and also the 1, 2, 3? Will it not be a mashing motion anymore, and will they still keep it like a quarter circle? There's a lot to guess for when it comes to Ed. I generally like his design here much more, despite it being a pretty simple design. It sleeps and bounds better than he had in Street Fighter V. Luke is a character that people didn't like in Street Fighter V, and Luke is way cooler in Street Fighter 6, and I have a feeling that people are gonna like Ed this time around. I have this feeling inside of me that Ed is gonna be sick in Street Fighter 6, so I'm really excited to see what they do with this guy. And finally we got Akuma, and Akuma is a character that actually his design changed a little bit between the leak and what we got in the reveal trailer, because in the leaks Akuma still had his red hair, while in the reveals it was more white, so I don't know if this was a last minute change or maybe the leaks were a little bit earlier. Who knows, but Akuma is obviously like one of the biggest characters in the Street Fighter universe. He's very popular and he is a shoe-in, right? A lot of people would say Akuma should have been part of the DLC roster. I don't know about that, but obviously Capcom knew that Akuma would sell, so they have him as a DLC. He's a character that everyone's gonna use and is gonna be very important during the game competitive life cycle in general. So yeah, I'm all in for Akuma, obviously. I mean, who would oppose having Akuma in a Street Fighter game? And that's about it for the newcomers, the Year 1 DLC. I think they are fine characters, although I had hoped for more, like I said, mainly because we knew about them for a very long time now. Now let's talk about the future, which characters I would like to see, which ones had I hoped to see in the first year. I think a lot of people would have liked to see Makoto, like myself included. She was really fun in the Street Fighter games, Street Fighter 4 especially, so I would have hoped to see her in this one. I also really would have liked to see Laura. I know this is a character that people, oh Laura, no, and people really hated her from Street Fighter 5, but I think actually Laura and the whole urban vibe would have actually worked really well in Street Fighter 6. Of all of the Street Fighter newcomers, I feel like Laura fit this universe the most. Maybe that's just me. I would have liked obviously to see my boys, Cody, and I would have liked to see Poison as well, because Metro City is like a big part of this game and they do seem like the characters that should have been in the game. I also would have liked to see Guy. This is a little bit part of me why I don't like Kimberly that much, is because I feel like she will keep Guy out of the game, and after Zeku, yes, Zeku was very popular and everything, but I think it was time for Guy to make a comeback, but that doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon, which is a little bit unfortunate. Anyway, that's it for my thoughts on the Street Fighter 6 roster and the DLC. I would love to hear your thoughts about them in the comment below. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon, Discord, Twitter and Twitch pages in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching and stay safe.